Welcome, everyone, to the Leadership Exchange. This is Leadership Florida's podcast, which is sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware. And I'm really excited today to have Stephanie Smith from Cornerstone Class 41 in Leadership Florida with TECO. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm really happy to be here today.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait to hear all about TECO and all the great things. So I love to start with this. As I mentioned, our sponsor is Sunshine Ace Hardware. So their motto, which we all know and we can sing to it, is Ace is the place with the helpful hardware folks. So from that similar theme, I would like you to finish the sentence. TECO is the place with the
I love it. I don't know that it'll have such a great jingle to it, but I would say that TECO is a place where people power progress. And they do that by delivering energy, building strong communities, and showing up for the customers that we serve every day. So again, it didn't roll off the tongue as good as
I
Sunshine
like
Aid.
it. People power products. I think it's great, and it is exactly what you do. So, on that note, let's get a little bit of an overview. I want a high level overview about TECO because not everybody is in your region that's going to hear, or in your customer base that's going to hear this. But I want everybody in Florida and beyond to know who you are, what's your geographic reach, your customer base, your mission. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, TECO, or specifically today, I'll talk about Tampa Electric. We're a Florida-based energy company, and we serve more than 870,000 customers in West Central Florida. So that encompasses Hillsborough, Polk County, Pasco County, and a small sliver of Pinellas County. And so we have served this community for over 125 years.
Wow.
So we are deeply rooted here, and we have over 2,000 employees that sit right here in this West Central Florida region. And so our mission here is, as we like to say, is deliver safe, reliable, and sustainable energy while keeping affordability front and center. So we are the electric provider here for the West Central Florida region. Our headquarters is based right in Tampa.
I love that. Now, when you say, and I always ask this question of utility industry executives when they talk about their customer base, when you say 830,000 customers,
Mhm.
you mean the actual customer. So that in my home, I would be one customer with two people living here.
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
business, it could be their office where you send the bill to and provide the utility to, but it could be 300 people
yeah.
in that business, right? So it's not the actual number of people affected
That's right.
positively by TECO, but
What a
it's
great
the
point. I
actual,
love that.
yeah,
You're
I
exactly
think
right.
you undersell yourselves when, we're talking about, X number of customers. It's really you're reaching many, many, many more actual
I
people.
agree. I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%. You're exactly right. That is just, the address, but the
Yeah.
reach is even further
It's
than that
huge.
in
Yeah.
that in
And
that hub.
sometimes in multiple locations, like I'm
Right.
going to my hairdresser and you're going to provide the power there. I came from my home, I'm going to my office, and then I'm going to a restaurant.
That's
So you're
exactly
touching me in many different ways, sometimes in a single day.
that's
Right?
exactly
Fair
right.
enough,
Great
right?
point.
I think people don't think about that, how important our utility industry is. It's just incredible. Okay, let's talk about industry. What is hot and trending right now? And specifically, what is TECO working on to stay current, fresh, meet your clients' needs, meet
Yeah.
the community needs? Tell us a little about what's important right now.
Right. So I would say as an industry overall, what's trending right now is a few things. I would say affordability is top of mind right now, along with many companies are grappling right with that and the impacts of affordability on their customers. More specifically, the strengthening of the grid, the resiliency of the grid. I think everyone can agree and understand we need to be able to depend on that, and gray skies and blue skies,
Yes.
and just again, I think that all then centers around just keeping up with the rapid pace of growth that we're seeing in Florida overall, but especially in the Tampa Bay region, and so we're really specific to beyond just our industry at Tampa Electric, we're focusing on looking at how can we modernize the grid, to be able to perform during extreme weather events. How are we using smarter technology to improve reliability and the customer's experience overall, right? when you're
Yeah.
when you're working with us and needing to communicate with us, and then how are we doing both of those things with a clear focus of affordability? Because we know that stability, when it comes to customers' bills, it matters to the families and the businesses we serve, right? So we like to call it a three-legged stool. How are we, kind of looking through and making sure that balance is there. So yeah, so those are the top topics for the industry and then for TECO specifically.
Yeah. Technology is so important and I embrace it. I think it's great. And not really as much on your end from your side of the utility side, but I will say that I am trying to improve how much utilities I use from remote technology. If I,
You're
by
right.
being able to control
Yep.
that from my phone,
Yes.
I just went out of the country recently and I realized I had not turned my air conditioning units at the
That's
right
exactly
cost saving, and I did it from Spain.
right. It's amazing. It's
Like it's
amazing.
crazy, right?
Yes.
So from a consumer part, we're trying to do it's helping me conserve energy and
Yes.
save that affordability, that's
Yes.
save price. So I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of things on your side that we don't even hear about, that you're trying to fix, improve,
Yes.
grow,
Raise
experiment with.
awareness.
Yeah, all those things. And we're the end user, so we benefit when you get all those things right. So kudos to you for keeping that as a priority. So let's think about challenges.
Mhm.
Given everything with Florida, with the population, with demands on utilities, with weather, what would you consider a challenge today, in TECO or your industry in general?
Yeah. So this is a great segue from the question you asked before. So, I think, as we look at what we're focused on, and while there's a lot of excitement and opportunity, that comes with challenges, right? That rapid growth, and how we're investing in meeting those needs. But and again, that doesn't fall on the back of customers, and that we can do it in a balanced way. And so I would say, so the way we're looking at addressing those challenges that I've outlined is, how can we plan and anticipate that growth early? How can we make sure we're anticipating needs and setting aside investments in a smart way? How do we make sure that all of the equipment and the things that we're using is up to date and efficient and running in an efficient way, again, so that it's not creating an undue burden on our customers. So there are kind of long term and pacing of those investments, so you don't see that sudden spike. And I'm trying to say this in the most the easiest way possible, because it's an incredible amount of work goes in behind the scenes
Mhm.
every day just to think through how we're facing those challenges. And it's a challenge we're ready and up to handling, but it is something we grapple with every day.
Well, you are one of the most important elements that we take for granted in our lives. As long as the power is on,
Yeah.
we are fine and everything's glorious. The
Yeah.
minute it's not, we've
Yeah.
got a challenge, right? Our life is turned upside down, depending on how long the period is. So the fact that you understand that you've got to stay on top of all of those things to make sure that we don't have those interruptions, or if we do, they're short, or stay on top of like the grid and all the things that are involved, and then the cost of technology and those things too. Um, and I love how you say, so you don't have any peaks and valleys, because we would appreciate that. We can take little increments, but when it's peaks and valleys, we're like, oh. So I think that's great. I've known you for a long time, and I remember when you called me in different roles that you and I have had. And I remember when you called me to tell me that you were joining the TECO team as a professional there. And I was just thrilled for both you and for TECO. So you've been there for several years now. So now I want to turn this around a little bit and I want to ask you, what is it like to work for TECO? What is TECO like as an employer? Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
So I so appreciate this question. And I have been pleasantly surprised at so I've just hit 3 years. I'm over 3 years here at TECO. And like you said, I've worked in multiple different roles with different companies. And I think what is so exciting about working at TECO is it is a company that is grounded in, um, a culture of purpose. And so what we just talked about, that importance of the work we do day in and day out and what it means to people's lives, what it means to the economy, what it means to healthcare, what it means to, truly powering an entire community. Everyone in this company feels tied to that purpose. And so everything that we do is through the lens of understanding what an incredible responsibility it is that we have to serve, what our end, the end product, the impact it has on the community, but just the pride in knowing the work that we do, and the impact that it has on the community. And it's incredible to see, woven into all of the different teams that I get to work with. And so there's something unique about working for a company that has been in the community for over 125 years. So it's woven into the history all the way from the streetcar. It's the TECO
Wow.
streetcar, and
Wow.
that is a part of the history that this company has, and you see it in the people, that are here every day. So one of the other unique things is we have a lot of employees that have been here 20, 30, 40, many over 50 years,
Oh
and
my
continue
goodness.
to come to work every day. And it's because of the pride that they have. You see generational, my dad, my grandfather, my uncle used to work for TECO, my mom, my grandmother. And so it's fully integrated into the community. And it makes me then proud, right, to
Sure.
represent, at the state and local level. Anyway, I could go on and on about this
Well,
question
I
because
love that.
I
I love that. And that does say a lot when you have that kind of longevity in companies,
that's
because we
right.
don't see that a lot right
Yeah.
now. And the fact that that is sustaining itself and you've got a lot of that te long-term tenure, that speaks volumes for Tico. And every individual, I know many, because many TECO professionals are members of Leadership Florida,
That's right.
to a person, I love them. They're all amazing. So you're doing something right in HR. I don't know what that is, but
They
it's
are. They
something's going
are.
on there. It's really great. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. This has been the Leadership Exchange, sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware and hosted by Leadership Florida. And I'm so happy to have had Stephanie Smith with TECO with me today. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you for the opportunity.
That was such a great conversation with Stephanie Smith, the Vice President of State and Regional Affairs with TECO Energy. Stephanie is a Cornerstone Class 41 member of Leadership Florida from the West Central region. And she filled us with lots of great information. I think I really love the fact that she thinks about TECO as a place where people power progress. I thought that was pretty catchy. And I was surprised to hear that they had 830,000 customers in the West Central Florida region. And they've been in business for 125 years. I was trying to do the math there. That's amazing. To over 2,000 employees. And she talked about how they have many employees who are there for decades. So that speaks well for TECO as an employer. So great. They're staying on top of affordability, resilience, strengthening technology, all kinds of things that all of our proud utility companies should stay on top of, as we experience them daily as customers. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Leadership Exchange, sponsored by Sunshine Ace Hardware and hosted by Leadership Florida.